back to the Shawn Sear Show. Yes, I am still looking for another name for the show. If you've got a better one, leave a comment down below or send me an email. So here we are, next episode, episode number 3, and I'm glad you're back for episode number 3. We've already covered clarity, trying to figure out where we are and where we're trying to get to. We've covered leadership and more specifically self-leadership so that we can start leading other people. And if you've been doing that work, you might actually already feel energized and ready to go, and you want to start tackling some of these goals. Or you might be feeling just a little bit overwhelmed because here's what no one really tells you about personal growth. Knowing what to do and being able to lead yourself is only part of the equation. You've also got to be able to fuel yourself to keep going. You need energy, and not just energy, but at the end of the day, some enthusiasm as well. So today we're going to be talking about the E in the CLEAR method, which is energy and enthusiasm. And I want to start with a hard truth. You can have the perfect clarity. You can have strong leadership skills. But if you're running on empty, you're not going to get very far. So think about it this way. You wouldn't start some kind of a cross-country trip with just a quarter tank of gas and absolutely no plan on refueling later on. Because if you did that, you wouldn't get too far. And that's about how most people approach their goals. They're running on willpower, they're running on caffeine, and they're hoping that motivation will just keep happening for them every time they think they should be moving forward. So it doesn't work that way. Sustainable success requires sustainable energy, and that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. We want to learn how to fuel our journey so that we can actually enjoy it and finish it. So I want to paint a picture that might feel kind of familiar to you. Maybe you're waking up and you're already tired. You drag yourself through your morning routine. You then get to work. You start powering through your to-do list when you actually get started at it. You're having coffee to fuel that, and for some of you, it's just sheer determination. And by afternoon, you're empty. You feel like you gotta take a nap. You'd love to take a nap, and by evening, you're so exhausted once you're home that any thought of you working on any of the goals or other things that you'd want to do actually become a chore and possibly avoided. So you end up thinking it's easier just to avoid those things. I'll scroll on my phone, I'll watch TV, and then I tell myself I'll do this a little bit later. And if not, at least I can get to it tomorrow because tomorrow I'll feel better. And tomorrow comes, same story, different day. If you've ever seen the movie Groundhog Day, it would get frustrating, but we live it anyway. Good movie to watch. Here's what most people are getting wrong. They think that energy is something you either have or something that you don't, like it's some kind of a fixed thing that's in you. But energy is actually something that you create. It's something that you should protect, and it is also something you can multiply. So you just have to understand how this is working. And there's 4 types of energy, and you need all 4. So number 1 would be physical energy. Number 2 would be mental energy. Number 3 is emotional energy, your feelings, your mood, your resilience to get through things. And then number 4 would be your spiritual energy. This is your sense of purpose, your meaning, your connection. It can be religious. It doesn't have to be, but it's all about your why. And most people actually only focus on that physical energy, right? Sleep, exercise, nutrition. Important? Absolutely, but it's not enough. It's not the only thing, and you want everything to be working well together because you can be physically rested and still feel mentally drained. You could then have mental clarity and still feel emotionally depleted. And you can have all 3 of those things and still feel like something's missing if you don't have some sort of purpose. So I worked with an entrepreneur, and we're going to call him Bob, who was doing all the right things. He was working out every morning, ate clean with all the right food, and was hydrating, got 7 hours of sleep at minimum, but was still burned out. And we sort of dug into figuring out what was going on, and we found out he was spending 8 hours a day on work that was actually draining him emotionally. His business, the way he was approaching it, running it, didn't really align with all the values that we talked about back in the clarity episode. So every client interaction that he was having was leaving him feeling depleted rather than energized. And the physical energy that he was trying to develop wasn't enough to overcome the emotional and spiritual drain that was happening. So if you're feeling exhausted, even though you're taking care of yourself, ask yourself, which type of energy am I actually depleted in? And I'm going to give you an exercise near the end of this that's going to help you out with that. So let's talk about how to actually manage your energy across all 4 dimensions. And then this is when enthusiasm can start to come in, because enthusiasm is what's happening when your energy is actually aligned and flowing properly. and you can bring that excitement out a lot easier. So physical energy would be your foundation. This is obviously uh, it's actually the most obvious one, but it bears repeating because most people don't actually do it. So the basics are your sleep, right? Get 7 to 9 hours a day. Yeah, there's people out there that'll say they can get by on 5 or 4, who knows what number they want to pull from, but the average person should be getting about 7 to 9 hours of sleep. And then this has got to become one of your non-negotiables. Don't mess around with this. Number two is movement. You don't have to be out running marathons and doing triathlons and all those kinds of things, but your body does need to be moving daily. Even a 20-minute walk makes a difference. If you're seeing some of the other videos that I'm putting up right now, I'm doing a fitness challenge, Healthy Body, Healthy Mind with my brother Luke. And my workouts right now to get started at the beginner level, they're 8 to 10 minutes long. It's enough to get the blood flowing, get the joints limber, and off you go. Nutrition is another one. You got to stop skipping meals. One, make sure you're getting enough calories in, and then make sure the calories are proper. Stop running on sugar and caffeine. Eat real food, and it'll actually fuel you and keep you moving forward. And the hydration's big. Dehydration will kill energy, and dehydration to a point can injure or even kill you. So just keep the water coming in as best you can. So the practice for you this week is to actually pick one of these 4 things and then commit to it 100% for the whole week. If it's the simple one of hydration, just make sure you start your day with water and try to get the number of glasses you should be having into you by the end of the day. And the easiest way to do this is to actually buy a large enough drinking container. So for you, if it's a liter, fill that up and it's got to be finished by the end of your day. Mental energy. You've got to learn to protect your focus. For some people, when you're in different positions at work, some people have an open door policy. Well, if you're trying to work on something and you don't ever close your door, that can be interrupted all the time. So you want to make sure you protect yourself from instances that are going to drain your energy by putting it elsewhere and not focusing on the important work. So here's some things that do work for people that need to focus. Number one, time blocking. So instead of trying to work all day and grind it out for a full 8 hours, which is actually not really possible for your mind, break it up into chunks. You could break it into, say, 90-minute segments with breaks in between. There's a technique called the Pomodoro technique. It's 25 minutes of work, 5 minutes of rest. Do that this almost sounds like a workout, but you do it 4 times. And after the fourth one, you do a 15 to 20-minute break. And these breaks are complete breaks. You don't keep playing with whatever it was you're working on. 25 minutes, stop, let your brain relax on something else. But in the 25 minutes, you are hyper focused. Single tasking. There is no such thing as multitasking. I don't care who out there says that they can multitask. I haven't seen any studies yet that prove it. Everything else says your brain actually has to stop working on something it's working on to work on and focus on something else. Make sure you do brain dumps. This is when your mind is cluttered with all kinds of things. Going through PTSD before bed, my mind runs at 100 miles an hour, and there's all of these different thoughts, and they're disjointed. They're not linked, but they're all over the place. And it's like, I think I heard the term monkey brain, where you hop from branch to branch to branch to branch looking for the perfect thing, but you end up doing this cycle of all the branches. So a brain dump is you actually write these things out onto a piece of paper, and it takes it out of your mind. I don't know why it works. If someone knows why it works, send me a link to something or a person I can talk to about. I would love to interview somebody to dig into that a little bit more. And then it actually lets your mind quiet so that you can shut down. And then strategic input. What you consume matters. We've all heard of GIGO, right? Garbage in, garbage out. What you're putting in affects you. So take a look at your social media, take a look at your programming. Yes, it's nice to just chill. And yeah, there's exciting movies and shows and things out there, but are you taking the time, to re-energize yourself? Do you have podcasts that you listen to that, bring you up and have your energy high by then? Are there songs that do that? Some people have workout music playlists or pump up songs to get started on something. Figure out what those are and then have those things. And the ones that are draining you, get rid of them. Get rid of them. You get one shot at this, right? You get one shot. So why waste time on things that are just going to make you feel bad? So what you could do is identify 3 of your highest value tasks every day. Do this the night before, and then come in and do those first when you're actually at your highest. Even if you're still dragging yourself through the day, you can get more done at the beginning because of how tired you feel near the end. Do the highest value things first, and the other stuff will just start coming after, but at least you're getting important things done. The next was emotional energy. This is like an invisible drain. This is the one that most people ignore, and it can cost you everything. Um, a couple things that can drain your emotional energy. Unresolved conflict. You're storing it inside rather than dealing with it, and your mind just keeps running through the scenario and plays it in so many different ways. It would be far better to just go and deal with it in reality. Another one's toxic relationships. For some reason, people just keep going back into it rather than getting rid of it and moving on and doing better for that. Another one's doing work that you hate. If you know you don't like doing something and people are asking you to do it, don't be afraid to tell them, I really don't like doing this. I'd rather be doing that. If it's your job and you're getting paid to do it, you might need to look at your job. Um, but if it's things you're doing on the side, maybe you shouldn't. Maybe you're living out of alignment with your values. When we talked about it in clarity, you wanted everything lined up. Well, take a look at those things and look at the things. You have to keep looking at where you are in order to keep moving forward. See what's not fitting and either remove them or help them fit by doing it a better way. Comparison and envy, you know, keeping up with the Joneses or the Smiths or whoever you want to name. But why are you doing that? It's far better if you take a look at where you are and then just get a bit better every single day and then compete with yourself and get you to a better level. And maybe at some point now you're at the level of the Joneses or you surpass them. But who cares? If you're doing the things that make you happy, that's the best. And then a lack of boundaries, that's big. This is where things like unresolved conflict, toxic relationships, time drains, emotional drains, doing stuff you hate, and doing the work that you don't like to do, just create some boundaries. And then those become non-negotiable, just like your physical health. You can restore your physical or emotional energy by doing meaningful things and having meaningful connections. There's probably people out there that you really feel great being around and doing things with. Spend more time with them. Um, you know, Doing things where you end up feeling appreciated for the things you've done and valued, or helping somebody do that and giving them that appreciation value. Creative expression. You like music, you like dance, you like singing. I call myself a shower singer. I don't want anybody else to hear my voice. I used to really enjoy art. That might be one of my goals for 2026 to get back into that, and magic. So the things that you do to allow you to be creative, do those things. There's a creative part in everybody. Laughter and joy. Now we can get into something on social media and do something fun, right? Everybody knows Matt Rife. I'm a big fan of Robin Williams and Richard Pryor, so I look at old clips of them and some of their comedy bits, and I'll give myself 5-10 minutes and just watch some comedy because laughter is great. And then the things that bring you joy, go and do those things. If it is helping someone, go and help the person. You'll feel better for it. Spending time with people who energize you and doing work that matters to you. Once you find out what your why is, if it's your goals, both hopefully are put together. Go and do the things that actually move you forward and allow you to progress in those things. So your practice for this week would be to do an audit. Make 2 lists, what's draining you and what's actually bringing you energy. And then take a look at your calendar. Now, if you don't have a calendar with a list of commitments, this gets a bit more difficult. You could add it to your audit process. But if you do have the calendar, now you can look back and say, hey, man, how much time is spent on my drain list versus the restore list? Is it really swaying one way or the other? If it's really heavily skewed toward those draining activities, something's got to change. And Jim Rohn has an awesome quote. He's got a lot of awesome quotes, but one is, in order for things to change, you must change. So if you see that things are swayed heavily one way, you can do the things you need to do to change that so it goes in your favor. And you can't just power through emotional depletion. I personally tried it and didn't say much. Things got worse, and here I am off of PTSD and anxiety and depression, trying to work through that. Doing these podcast snippets helps me do that, I believe. And then the fourth one is spiritual energy. It's that why that fuels you. And like I said in the beginning, this isn't necessarily about religion, but it could be. But your spiritual energy is about purpose. It's about meaning and about connection to something that's bigger than yourself. You've got to let go of the ego for a little while and become selfless for a little bit, and then do things for that purpose, for that meaning. And it could be other people. It could be another organization. It could be an idea. Whatever it is, put some work toward that and get yourself out of the picture. Now, when your work feels meaningless, You'll be exhausted no matter how much you sleep and rest yourself. When you feel disconnected from your purpose, enthusiasm disappears. This happens to some people in their goals, where they attain the goal that they listed, and it could have been an object or a vacation or just something that was finite, and then they get there and they're like, oh, they keep going through the motions, but they just don't feel it. That's because they don't feel a purpose anymore. They've hit what they've hit, and they should have focused on the activities and journey that gets them there, because you can keep doing those things, and then that end goal can actually get bigger and bigger as you always go along. Now, this goes back to the clarity work we did in episode 1. When you're clear on your why you're doing what you're doing, then the impact that you want to make as well, and what legacy that you're hoping to build and leave behind, then the why becomes a source of your energy. And like I was just explaining, when you have that why, the what can be changed and adapted and built bigger as you're going forward. So the entrepreneur that I mentioned earlier on, once he pivoted his business operation to align with his actual values and started serving clients who energized them, everything started changing. Kept the same hours, put in the same effort, completely different energy levels. And that's because he was doing the work that mattered the most to him. So, your practice again, there's lots of practices here. Every week, do something that connects you to your purpose. Maybe it's volunteering, maybe it's mentoring somebody, maybe it's working on a passion project, maybe it's just spending time in nature, maybe you like to draw or paint or play the guitar or something. Just do those things. Don't skip it. Make some of these things your non-negotiables, because they're the things that make you better. And that's the whole point here, is to get you better. So, how do we go from energy to enthusiasm? Because they're not quite the same thing. You can have all the energy and you can still go through the motions, but enthusiasm is what's happening when your energy is directed towards something that excites you. It's energy plus meaning. And it's the difference between climbing a mountain because you have to, and then climbing it because you actually want to see the view from the top. So enthusiasm is actually contagious. You've probably been around somebody who has that enthusiasm, not just energy, and it's infectious, and you kind of get caught up in that moment. And when you're genuinely enthusiastic about your work, your goals, your life, other people can feel that in the way you actually communicate with them about those things. People can see it and they feel it. And there's a lot of people out there, when they hear that, they actually want to be a part of it. They like that feeling and they want to stay there, and the doors start opening up and opportunities starting to appear, and things for you start to flow. And it's, you'll hear other people say, the universe is working for me and I just sent out these thoughts. And it's like, okay, possibly, but if you're doing all those things that bring your enthusiasm out into your environment, these things do start to happen for you. And now here's what I've learned. You can't fake enthusiasm. You can try, and you might succeed for a little bit, but it won't go for long. Real sustainable enthusiasm actually comes from alignment. So you'll need the energy. You're going to want to be aligned with your values in pushing forward, and then it will be real. And just like I was saying in the leadership, you don't want to be hypocritical. You want to be real. So when you're clear on where you're going and why it matters, you have clarity. And when we're talking about leadership, lead yourself with integrity, always be doing the things you should be doing, even if someone's not watching. And if you were to add energy, when you were to start managing this energy well across all four of those dimensions, that's when enthusiasm emerges and it comes out. Just like the leadership at first doesn't seem natural if you're trying a whole bunch of techniques and tactics, but if you start to lead yourself, these things become natural. It's the same thing with your enthusiasm. So what you're not trying to do, you're not trying to pump yourself up with some motivational quotes and some hype and some really fast, upbeat music. That'll help you get into that state. What you want to really do is just do work that matters, and do it in a way that's sustainable toward a vision that lights you up. So let me give you a contrast. I know some people out there who make a lot of money and they're doing work that they hate. And there's actually some interviews that were done, and when they talk to people who have just focused on doing the work they hate, and they get asked that question, would you have done anything different, or would you have told yourself to do something different? They all seem to say the same thing. I would have done something different, something that I loved, or they say I'd rather spend more time with family and friends. So you want to make sure and I know I keep repeating myself, I'm hoping it reinforces it. Stay aligned to the things that you do. Don't look for external motivation. Do the things you want to do because that becomes internal. You'll wake up energized. You get to a point where you just can't wait to do that work. And when you hit that state, that's enthusiasm. So, which one sounds more sustainable and more fun to you? Having to get up with the carrot in front of the horse or the whip at the back? Or do you want to get up because you feel like this is the day I get to go and do the things that I want to do and I get to do? So here's the key: enthusiasm isn't about being positive all the time or pretending that everything is easy. You can be enthusiastic about your goals and still have hard days. That's life, right? That's life. So there will be the hard times. The difference is on the hard days, you still want to keep going because you believe in where you're headed. You're like, okay, I can take this on. I can get through this. I'm going to push through this because on the other side of this obstacle or the discomfort are the things that I'm looking for. And that's the kind of energy I'm hoping that we're building here. So let's make this actionable. So here's an energy and enthusiasm action plan for your next week. Week 1 was your clarity. Week 2 was your leadership. Week 3, energy and enthusiasm. Number 1, complete your energy audit. So the easiest way to do this I found was to get a piece of paper, vertical line, horizontal line, creating 4 quadrants: physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. And then in each quadrant, answer these questions. What's currently draining my energy in this area? What restores my energy in this area? And on a scale of 1 to 10, how full is my tank in this area right now? And then just be honest. Don't sugarcoat it. Don't get overly aggressive and drop it to the bottom. Just be honest. It's just data. You're going to look at it. And then from that, we're going to identify one energy upgrade. So look at these quadrants. Which area is most depleted? Pick the one thing you can do in there. I gave you a few suggestions for each one. An example would be physical. Go to bed 30 minutes earlier every night. Do it for the full week. See how you feel. If that doesn't address the problem, okay, there's the other parts, right? We can talk about nutrition and the hydration and movement. Pick one of those things, add it. If it's the mental side, take a real lunch break away from your screens. So when lunch comes, stop eating at the desk and continually plugging away. Take a break. Let your brain relax. If it's an emotional area, go and have that difficult conversation with somebody, or schedule some time with somebody who energizes you, or both. But try to do those things through the week. And then if it were spiritual, you could spend 15 minutes every morning journaling about your purpose, and then reflect at night, right? About how your day went, and does that align with your purpose? And if you can have that going into your mind at night, your brain works on it through your sleep, and then when you wake up, it's there, and you spend 15 minutes. Well, that's always going to be at the front of your mind, and off you go. The one thing you want to remember is just do it consistently for 7 days. If you miss one, get right back on the bus, keep pushing forward, but don't skip these things. Don't blow them off. Consistency, is the key. Number 3, protect your energy ruthlessly, right? Look at your calendar for the week. And like I said, if you don't have an actual calendar or your phone, just look at your week that's coming up with all the things that are happening, scribble them down and say, all right, what's on this list that's draining my energy, that doesn't give me any kind of meaningful return? And can you eliminate it? If you can't, can you delegate it? And if you can't, can you at least minimize it? Sometimes there's a quote, people aren't successful or aren't wealthy because of resources. And the counter argument is actually people aren't successful or wealthy because of a lack of resourcefulness. When you're asking these questions, can I eliminate it? Can I delegate it? Can I minimize it? Just get a little bit creative, because there are probably some things you can do to minimize those things. Energy management isn't just about adding good things. It's about taking the bad things away. So just be ready to say no to one thing this week that doesn't serve you. All right. And step 4, create an enthusiasm trigger. Think about a time when you felt genuinely enthusiastic about your work or your goals. What were you doing? Who were you with? What made it feel energizing? Maybe you were planning a special birthday for your kids or your parents or your significant other. Maybe it was a type of work you were doing. It was a new project. Whatever it was that was making you feel that, just take a minute. It's worth the minute to figure out, what was I doing? Okay, I've got my activities, my actions, and was there someone I was with specifically that was helping me feel that way? And then what made it feel energizing? And if you can figure out what that is, you can shrink that into a smaller moment, have that labeled, right? And you can ask the question, what can I do to create more moments like that? And then schedule one activity this week that you know is going to reignite your enthusiasm. Maybe it's brainstorming a new idea. Maybe it's working on your favorite part of your business. Maybe it's working on something specific in your goals, or maybe you're just connecting with somebody who inspires you. So don't wait for enthusiasm to find you. Create the conditions for it. And step 5, daily energy check-in. At the end of every day this week, rate your energy from 1 to 10 in each of the 4 areas and then track it. And you'll actually start to see patterns. You're going to see what activities energize you, which ones are draining you. And more importantly, you're going to see what time of day you're actually the strongest. And if you can figure that out, you can start plugging those really important things in there that really matter, need your attention to get the best result. So this awareness becomes your power, because once you know your patterns, you can design your life around those patterns. Here's the truth. You've got big goals. You've got a vision. You've been working on clarity. You've been developing yourself as a leader, but none of that matters if you burn out before you even get there. Energy and enthusiasm aren't luxuries. They're not something you focus on when you have time. They're the fuel that makes everything else possible. So protect your energy like it's your most valuable asset, because it is. Manage it intentionally. Have intent, and then create the conditions for enthusiasm to thrive. You can set these things up. In my next episode, we're going to talk about action, because energy without action, well, obviously it won't get you anywhere. But here's what I want you to understand. When you manage your energy well, action will become easier. You're not forcing yourself forward. You're actually moving from a place of fullness, not depletion. Your goals will actually start to pull you like a magnet towards those things. And that's what I'm trying to help you build here. Sustainable success, not a sprint that leaves you burned out, but a marathon that you can actually enjoy. So thanks for being here. Thank you for investing some time in yourself, some effort in yourself. If this episode gave you like a new perspective on energy, share it with somebody else who needs to hear it. And then let me know what's your biggest energy drain right now. What are the things that are actually re-energizing you. You can message me down below in the comments. You can send me an email to shawn.cccinc@gmail.com. But until next time, I want you to stay clear, lead yourself well, please protect your energy, and keep moving forward.